Hello and welcome to Kicking Tires. My name is Jimmy,
And I'm Justin.
and it's January 26th, and we're here for some great automotive news today. Not sponsored this week by anyone particular, unlike last week and a bunch of months ago.
Partially sponsored.
By your background, we seem to be still sponsored by Toyota, but
Yeah, like we can't get away from Toyota. Like they keep dropping like bombshell news every
yeah,
week
they
for the
they definitely
last
do.
2 months.
They definitely do. But we got some stuff to cover today. We got Bentley news, we got Maserati news. Cadillac is some great stuff, which it's insane. There's a spy shot on the Grand Wagoneer long wheelbase, so that's going to be interesting. Ford dropped their Bronco Raptor, and of course, we have the Sequoia to talk about as well. And Justin has a rant, so we'll get to all that.
Yeah, it was our rant for last week, and we just ran out of time last week. So
It's a continuation of his rant. That's essentially what it is. But
yeah,
let's talk a little bit about Bentley here first. So Bentley's like, hey, we got to do something better. So they have a 5-year plan. Is it 5-year plan? Yeah. They actually no 2025. Oh no,
3 years.
3-year. Wait, no, it's launching
No, they
one
have a
car.
three. They have multiple plans going on.
They have a lot of plans, but they call it the Bentley100. But essentially, what it is they are looking to launch a bunch of electric cars in the next little while. And the first one is going to be a brand new model, and that's going to be coming in 3 years in 2025. I mean, they're doing this because they have to, not because, like, rich people that buy Bentleys want a fuel efficient vehicle.
Yeah. So they
Like,
want to be carbon neutral, which I don't think that people necessarily care. But
yeah,
part of it is, we're we're in a time where there's a lot of competition actually in the luxury over 100K sedan market. And there's a lot of EV models in there. And the verdict is you can't deny it. There's everyone loves the EV nature of it because a luxury car needs to be quiet, and they're quiet, and
yeah,
they've got a lot of torque, which is great for a big heavy sedan, and it makes sense. I don't
it,
think it's like, let's scratch all the eco conscious and all that kind of stuff, but it makes sense for a luxury brand like Bentley to move towards that, because it is like, it's a great image. Obviously, if you can afford this kind of car, it's not like the 70s or 80s anymore. You want something that's eco-conscious. So I think it's a win-win, and VW has steered so far away from Dieselgate that they've dived so much money into electrification across the board: Audi, VW, Porsche, and now Bentley. So it makes sense. Porsche is talking about electrifying the next generation Cayman. I think
yeah,
is gonna have, yeah. So I think this makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just to go back a little bit, what they're actually trying to do is 5 new EVs by 2030. Sorry, not by 2025, by 2030. I mean,
Yeah.
still, not that far away, to be honest, for, a bunch of like new cars from Bentley, considering they only really have like 3 vehicles. I mean, there's a Mulsanne, Bentayga, Continental. So
Yeah, they
really,
all kind of look the same.
that's really it. But of course, right now with Bentley, you can get plug-in hybrid versions of
Mm.
both the Bentayga as well as the Flying Spur. So the big luxury SUV as well as the big luxury sedan, you can get plug-in hybrids of those.
Yeah.
And it's a step towards that, right? And
Yeah.
I think it's going to be great, for the brand to go electric. Same points like you said. It's just going to be a quiet cruiser, and just kind of makes sense for a luxury manufacturer.
Yeah, and there'll be speed that goes with that too, right? Like, that's the beauty of electrification, is I think it's it's gotten manufacturers to work so hard. It's not just we're gonna put our 6 3/4 twin turbo in everything and just kind of work slowly at this engine for decades.
They're gonna
So
put six.
many,
They're
you
gonna
know,
put 6 3/4 batteries in the new one just so that
yeah,
they can keep the name.
yeah, 6 3/4 kilowatt hour or something like that. Uh,
Something.
yeah, but they're going fully electric, so it's not, the whole range. They aim to be fully electric by 2030, and every brand, the sooner you get on this, the better it is, and it's gonna shake brands like Tesla off of their high horse, I think.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But Maserati doesn't seem to kind of follow that trend
No, the
because
whole Stellantis group does not follow this trend. Uh, yeah,
Maserati, Maserati, of course, is owned by Stellantis, which is FCA essentially. So like Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and they also do Alfa Romeo. So this is actually based off of the Stelvio, so the Alfa Romeo SUV. So a little bit smaller than the Levante. So basically a Macan competitor, really. And do we need another SUV from Maserati or the Stellantis group? I don't
well, you
necessarily.
haven't told the viewers or the listeners what the name of this
Oh,
vehicle is.
I can't pronounce it, so I
I
just
can't
left.
pronounce it either. I don't know
I
why they
I
would.
I
This is gonna
completely
be
left it.
absolutely. It's Gre- Grecale,
It's GRE.
Grecale.
Yeah, like you
No American is gonna pronounce that.
pronounce it whatever you like to call it. It's the smaller
It's
Levante.
the Maserati Gabagoo and the Gabagoo, and it's a smaller SUV, but I don't know what they're doing with this. Like the Maserati brand is so not what it used to be
I mean,
already.
let's. I mean, Maserati. Let's not go back too far, but they had the Quattroporte and then they had the coupe. I forgot what it was called.
It's just a coupe.
Was it just called the coupe? Maserati
Gran
coupe?
Turismo. The second generation was called the Gran Turismo.
Oh, okay.
The first gen was like 4200 GT, or I think it was just called the coupe.
350 GT. I think there's something. I remember they had really nice tail lights. Anyways, the Maserati brand itself has kind of been like, on life support. Let's be honest. Like, how many of them do you see on the road? The only ones that I see on the road are the Ghiblis. I don't see a lot of Levantes on the road. They just don't really exist here, and no one's really buying the Quattroporte when the Ghibli is so much cheaper. And to be honest, a lot of people think that is a Quattroporte.
Yeah, they look exactly the same. They're the same size, except one is based off of a 25-year-old Mercedes chassis. Uh, and I don't think the other one is actually any better, but it costs twice as much. Neither of them are great. A lot of Stellantis group hardware in them. Uh, I don't really get this brand anymore. I'm over it. They have a new supercar coming, but the SUV side is just not very appealing because it's not like there are no good products in the market. The X3M is really cool. The Macan is really cool. Audi makes a great product.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everyone makes a good
Like
product except for
the segment, like there are no losers in that segment, other than like there really isn't a lot of Alpha Stelvios on the market. I mean,
no one wants to sell
it's a
you.
good vehicle, but there are so many caveats to it where, if you buy one, it's going to spend a lot of its time at the dealer. You know that because it's an Alpha. And I'm not talking like 80s Alpha. This is a 2020 Alpha and it's going to have problems. One of my friends, he bought a Giulia. We told him not to buy a Giulia, but he bought a Giulia Quadrifoglio because he was like, I got to experience it. He leased it for a short term. He was supposed to have it for only 1 year, a short 1 year lease. Out of that 1 year, he only drove it out of about 6 to 7 months, because all the other times it was at the dealer. It's insane. Like, it's insane how often it breaks.
I don't even know why they brought the brand over, to be honest, because you can tell, like, okay, when they first came out with the 4C, when they brought the 4C over, like there was a bit of excitement with the dealerships, and then slowly all these brands just kind of died off. Fiat's now gone. Like Fiat, same thing. The 500 when it first came out, it was kind of it was a success, I think,
I think so.
when it first came out, and then it just died off, and they just haven't invested enough into these vehicles or these brands to, like, same with Maserati. Like the Gran Turismo was kind of special when it first came out this generation, and then they let it just fade into the background after 10 years, and just everything, it's so sad to me. It's just, I don't like seeing it, and I think the dealers are not motivated to push it because they have products that do sell, like the Rams, like the Jeeps, and they just look at these brands like, why would I put my money into,
Yeah.
supporting this lineup when we're not really getting a return on them, whereas we could just invest all in Rams and Wranglers and stuff that actually does make us money, and stuff that is
It's
slightly better built.
and not going to sit on dealer lots. I mean, every dealer will tell you that they don't
Yeah.
want their cars to sit on lots. It's a waste of space, and it's a waste of a car sitting there. Because if they have 10 of these, let's be honest, no one's really going to buy them for a long time. But if they put 10 like Grand Cherokees there, it's going to sell. It's going to sell a lot
Yeah,
quicker.
there's brand recognition. There's just, so, like, had they come out with a really compelling product, which I think the 500 was kind of a compelling product because there wasn't really a competitor to it, and it was like kind of different. But the Alpha products all market against BMW, and BMW is the best in their game. Like, I don't know. There's BMW, there's Audi, Mercedes, everyone else. And then way down that list, like as far as the quality and the competitiveness of their product, there's Alfa Romeo. And I just don't get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely not high on that list. I mean, I've driven both a Giulia and a Stelvio, and I've driven the quadrifolio version of them. Amazing products, but definitely not one I would own for long periods of time. Because even in the week that I get them, generally speaking, it's like those three alphas that I had. Every single one of them had some sort of electronic issue. Like it was consistent. That's the problem. Anyways, let's move away from this rant. We can rant something else later on. But let's talk about Cadillac and their V series. So V series is Cadillac's like performance kind of thing, but not like Blackwing performance. Cadillac V used to be like the all-out performance, but then they kind of put that down a little bit and then put Blackwing right on the top. So you have the CT5V Blackwing and then the CT4V Blackwing, which is like the best of the best, amazing performance sedans. And then they have this, the Escalade V
series.
Who was asking for a V series Cadillac Escalade?
I kind of get it. Like,
really?
It, just looking at it, it looks pretty attractive. And you know who this is gonna take buyers from is the Range Rover Sport, right? Like Range Rover, they kind of knew what they were doing, right? They were primarily an off-road brand, and then they've kind of slowly over the years went to the sport luxury side, and they're doing really well at it. Same with Cayenne, Porsche, same thing. They had an off-roady product, and then it's kind of softened up over the years. And Cadillac Escalade was never really about off-road. We have our Tahoe Z71s, and I don't even know if Yukon has an AT4. I think they do.
I think so. I think
But
I've seen it.
Escalade doesn't want anything to do with that, and that makes perfect sense. This is going to be, the X7, like the Alpina that you reviewed, like people shopping in this six-figure SUV range, they do like a premium, sporty, attractive product. And I think the V kind of makes sense. It has a special engine, which, okay, if you're buying this segment of car, you don't want the same engine that's just handed down from a Tahoe, right? Like you don't want to feel like you're just driving a rebadged Tahoe. And I think this Escalade does just that. That was one of the worst things about like the first gen and even the second gen Escalades was that they kind of just gave you the same car but gave you like leather seats
Yeah,
or like
the first one, the
nicer.
first gen was really bad, especially the interior.
Yeah,
It
they
was
just
the same
slap some
plastic. Yeah,
cheap plastic wood trim and call it a day. And I think this makes a lot more sense now that we're moving into 2023. Uh, I like what they've done with the styling on it, the Escalade V. I I like how big the grill is because I'm guessing they need it for the cooling, which GM, sometimes misses that. But they've done it in a way that is still reasonably proportioned.
it's
I
subtle.
It's a subtle, huge grill. Like the grill takes up 80% of the front fascia, but it's not like a Toyota Avalon TRD.
No, but the
Yeah,
grill's exactly the same size as the regular Escalade, so it's not any bigger or anything like that. It's just
the
like
bumper is just sleeker.
the lower dam is there's like a splitter looking thing on the bottom. Like I don't mind the way it looks, and I understand the performance engine that they put in, the Blackwing engine in it.
Well, we don't know that. It's not confirmed yet, I think.
It's speculation, and just from what the sounds and whatnot, it
Yeah.
most likely is going to be that engine. But my problem with it is just the ride height. So in all the press photos that we see here, it it's about the same height, the same ride height as the regular Escalade. It's not any lower.
It's going to be on air. So,
I just
well, it will most likely be on air.
I
Um,
I just think, if they're gonna take photos of it, you would want to show it in maybe different heights. I don't know. I just think that like in the photos that I see, it looks like it's on the highest position because like the bottom of that splitter is about the same place as the middle of the hub of the wheel. Like it looks super high to me. And that's why I'm not a big fan of it. Because like when I think performance SUV, and I'm thinking like Alpina, XB7, GLS 63, those things were like low on the ground.
I'm guessing there is like it's definitely going to have air suspension. So you have adjustable ride height and it will ride great. I don't know. I really like what they've done with this generation Escalade overall.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
it's a huge departure from even the Yukon, which is also a huge upgrade. The interior is completely different. Like for one, it doesn't resemble a Tahoe or a Yukon in any way,
Mhm.
which is such a win. As Cadillac deserved that. Cadillac, as a brand, I think they've been a little bit weak over the last few years. Um, but I think the Escalade kind of brings it back. The Escalade is a fairly strong product. I don't know, lots of tech, lots of luxury to it. That I don't know. The Cadillac brand to me, like the CT5, the CT4, I like them, but I can't see myself pulling a trigger on one. Um, and same, I don't even know what their little SUV is called anymore.
They
XT5?
have XT4, XT5, and XT6. So
Yeah.
XT4 is like the Q3 competitor or uh, GLA kind of thing. They have the XT5, which is slightly bigger, Q5 GLC competitor,
Ah,
and then they have the XT6, which doesn't
kind of
really.
between an X5 and an X7. So
It's
it's a
kind of,
six.
yeah, but it's front wheel drive based, and no one really likes it.
Yeah, so none of the rest of their product range is that compelling, but the Escalade's pretty up there for me. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I get it. So the V, I don't know if we talked about. I don't think we talked about it yet, but speculating that's the CT5V Blackwing, so that's a 6.2 liter supercharged V8, 10-speed transmission, over 650 horsepower, over 650 pounds-feet of torque. So pretty special engine. Obviously not going to get the 6-speed manual. At least I highly doubt that.
It doesn't make sense for it.
Yeah. But yeah, just it brings it up quite a bit because the current Escalade, like with the 6.2 trim, has a little over 400 horsepower, and so it's going to be over 600. So it's a huge jump up,
Yeah.
which this is a flex, right? An Escalade is supposed to be a flex, and having 650 horsepower, that's a flex.
Yeah, it really is. When the number is over 600, it definitely is. The GLS has over 600. The XB7 has over 600,
and it makes the right sound too. There's a sound clip of the Escalade V. I think
there definitely is. It sounds good. Its competitor, Jeep Grand Wagoneer. So I'm on Car and Driver's website right now because this is not official news, but there's a spy shot of the Jeep Grand Wagoneer.
It's so long.
Extended wheelbase. Okay, so the camo on it, I gotta say, it's amazing. So they camoed out behind the C pillar, so behind the second, like the rear passenger door. It looks almost like a pickup, like because of the camo that they have on it. So like in a way, it looks like ridge
like a Ram with a canopy.
Like Ram with the canopy. Like it just looks like that to me. But we know it's going to be a Wagoneer long wheelbase from kind of what it looks like and whatnot, and it looks quite a bit longer. And the length is not only just behind the wheelbase has also been stretched. The rear doors, they're completely flat rather than having the arch for the rear wheel. So it's going to have much more interior space for not only the passengers, but also behind the third row.
Yeah, this thing is huge. And I mean, that was the thing. When the Grand Wagoneer came out, everyone's like, oh, this is great. But where is your long wheelbase? Because Expedition Max, I guess Navigator L, or Suburban, Yukon XL, Cadillac Escalade ESV.
Yeah.
So everyone's got their long wheelbase version. It's so long though. Like it's just like the size of a full size pickup truck, like a half ton.
But there's people that love them.
There are. I mean, there's not many other vehicles you can pick up, a whole family and their luggage from the airport. Like, I kind of get it, but
tow a boat,
and just like it's a pretty awesome road trip vehicle. Not gonna lie, but I don't know. I don't know where you even park something like this. How? I don't know.
When you have $100,000 vehicle like this, you have a relatively larger home, so parking it at home wouldn't be that much of an issue.
Yeah, but it's just like you want to go out to dinner at like a nice restaurant, and you're like, we're gonna have to valet this.
It's okay. It's a Jeep thing. You just park on the curb.
Yeah, but it's this is based on a Ram, right? So it does look like it has a Ram, the normal crew cab Ram wheelbase, pretty much.
Yeah, kind of, right?
Yeah.
That's it's a big boy. Just as big, or at least as wide, is what Ford launched this week. The Raptor Bronco, or the Bronco Raptor. This thing is amazing.
Yeah, we knew it was coming. Everyone knew, okay, Bronco, they're going to have a higher model above the Badlands and all that stuff.
We knew that.
The next level.
So what's boggling my mind in this is not so much, Bronco Raptor. We knew about that. We knew that it's going to have big wheels and tires. The thing that boggles my mind is just how much wider than the regular Bronco is. 9.8 inches. That's huge.
Yeah.
And the track is 8.6 inches wider. So it's not just because it has bigger wheels and tires. It even has a wider track. 10 inches. Like, can you even fit this in a regular stall? Like,
it will be as bad to park as the F-150 Raptor in terms of width, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, it's 9.1 inches wider than a base Bronco. So the base Bronco, I think, is like 33-inch tires. So it's not the Badlands, or I forgot what it's called, the
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch package, which has 35s. This has 37s, which is the biggest fitted to any production SUV in North America. 37s, that's usually the size that people go after they lifted their Wranglers. Then you can fit 37s. Like you buy a Rubicon, put 20 grand into it, and then you put 37s in there. Like it's huge. 37, like that's going to do a lot to make this thing very capable for rock crawling, but it's also built for the high speed desert racing stuff
Yeah.
that kind of we know from the F-150 Raptor, just bombing at like 150 kilometers an hour, just going over bumps, just gliding over stuff.
Yeah. It
It's
does
a
have.
unique V6.
Yeah. Let's talk
Um,
about that. Yes.
so yeah, it's not just a carryover engine from the like F-150 Raptor or the normal F-150. It's 3-liter twin turbo V6 that's unique for the Bronco Raptor. They don't know exactly the power figure yet, but it's over 400. Now, everyone else in this segment is running a V8. So Wrangler is running their V8. Defender's got their V8. But I'm not worried about that at all, because we know what Ford can do with a V6.
Yeah.
And
All their EcoBoost has always been great. And this
yeah.
engine is actually lifted from the Explorer ST. And
Hmm.
the people that review the Explorer ST has been very positive about the engine. And the best part, there's actually aftermarket support for that engine already.
Hmm.
People have made that faster, a
Yeah,
lot
and Ford
faster.
is not big on like locking down their stuff.
Mm.
Like some manufacturers, I think Chrysler, on the other hand, doesn't like you tinkering with their ECUs too much, but Ford doesn't seem to mind as much. Um, and so this could easily be over 500 horsepower, I think,
Yeah,
uh,
with
when
with
you
the
start
tune.
dipping into aftermarket. And no one's gonna leave these stock. Like they're already so capable from the factory, but I think people are still gonna tinker with them.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely,
just because of
absolutely.
the type of vehicle it is. It's like a monster truck, as close to a monster truck as you can get,
That's
or
street legal.
Tonka truck.
Yeah,
That's street legal. Uh, Speaking of capability, so those 37s are going to be on beadlock wheels. There's two choices, but they're both 17-inch beadlock wheels. 13 inches of ground clearance. That is a lot of ground clearance for just static suspension. That's not talking about, a Grand Cherokee Trailhawk has a lot of quote unquote ground clearance, but that's fully extended. You can't really drive on that. You really limit your travel. Same with the Rivian. If you air it up, you get like 14 inches or something. But this is 13 inches with a lot of travel as
yeah.
well. So 13 inches of wheel travel and 13 inches of ground clearance
There's
up front.
the rear is actually 14 inches of wheel travel, so there's a little bit
Yeah,
more in the rear. So
pretty
60%
impressive.
more in the front and 40% more in the rear compared to a base Bronco.
And the way you do that is you fit completely different suspension. So it's not, Ford spent so much on the Bronco already, and then they're just like, you know what, we're gonna go and
Throw
do
it
it
all
all
away.
over again with the Raptor version. So new control arms, new tie rods, new shocks. The shocks are 3.1-inch diameter Fox internal bypass dampers. Like I semi-active, so I guess it means it has some kind of adaptive.
Valving in it.
Yeah, it says something about it measures the height, it measures your wheel speed, it measures all that, whatever 100 times a second. There's a lot of gizmos going on there, but it is like it's a bespoke suspension from the normal Bronco, which just came out with its own already impressive capability, but it's just gone an extra step further. Like it almost, like, no one, Toyota for one, would never do something like this. Like
No,
Toyota
not to
takes
this
one set of
extent.
control arms and fits it across the range for 20 years, right? Like you can buy shocks for a third gen Foreigner, and they will still fit a new one, 25 years down the road, which are still dinky little shocks, but the new trucks have gotten so much bigger. So, some manufacturers are going to be lazier with that. I'm blown away that they would spend this kind of money. Like the Bronco, and this is for a vehicle that didn't exist. They don't even know if this will be popular. But obviously, as we've seen in the few months that we've had the Bronco in production, is they can't keep these in stock. They're already super popular. It's taken a lot of market share from Jeep, and for good reason. I would pick a Bronco over a Jeep kind of any day. Just maybe because I don't like any Stellantis product. I could never buy a Stellantis product. Not that I don't like it. But the big thing for me is the independent front suspension. Because driving a Jeep Wrangler on 37s on the highway is terrifying.
It's like old American movies. Like you have to constantly have steering.
It's like Mickey Mouse, like Mickey Mouse driving that steamboat. Think of that. That's how you drive a Wrangler on 37s. And Jeep guys are just part of the experience. Like whatever.
Yeah. So it's not only the independent suspension. I mean, yes, the Wrangler has a solid axle up front, but it's also a recirculating ball steering. So like it's like technology from, I was going to say like a horse-drawn cart, but maybe not that old. But like it's old, and because of the recirculating ball, it is quite bad. Even like
it's terrifying.
Even the most on-road capable Wrangler, like the Sahara, it's still pretty bad. Like there's just nothing in that steering wheel. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to drive the Bronco just yet. There hasn't been one on press because they haven't been able to, put one aside. I wonder why.
I would say that after driving the Ranger, it's still not a confident experience, but it's already a lot better than the Wrangler. I've driven the Ranger a bit, and I end up not. I almost bought a Ranger a few years ago, but I just did not like how it drove, and I didn't like how the Tacoma drove on the highway either. So I ended up going full size, but I don't think it's like. Again, we haven't driven the Bronco yet, but I don't think it's like a great handling vehicle, but it's going to be better than him. Because even on 35s, the Wrangler is terrifying. Yeah.
What do you think of the grille? How it says Ford across rather than saying Bronco?
Rather than the Bronco, I like the Bronco grille better.
Yeah, right. I like the amber lights that it has on it. I think that looks cool.
It needs to.
Well, no, not the three lights on top. I'm talking about the headlights.
Oh
amber,
it's got the unique lights.
Yeah, rather than Bronco being white, because I mean I'm sure it's the same light. It just coded different because the Bronco has amber lights in them because they use it for the turn signal. It's the same light, just coded different. But like it's true to the Raptor because the Raptor has amber daytime running lights as well, and I like that about it. But there's something about me that says I want it to say Bronco in the
classic
center.
Bronco grille does look really good. I don't think either one is. I like both of them. Let's say they never did the Bronco grille, we would be perfectly fine with the Ford grille because the Ford grille, it's seen on the Ranger Raptor, which we don't get, but also the F-150 Raptor, and just it is iconic in itself. Right. Every F-150 guy gets this grille.
Yeah. The dude
including
grill?
myself, the dude grill. Because licensing wise, you can only buy it with the F and R not pre-installed, so you have to change out the F and R to it comes as dude or oh, depending how you look at it. But it's a good grill, and it is slowly becoming like iconic for Ford, that grill. So I kind of get it too. Like, and it does differentiate. Okay, you got a Raptor, you got a normal Bronco. So I get it. I think both look good, and even though I prefer the Bronco one slightly, I would be happy either way.
Like when you have the pictures of them side by side, like wow, that
The fender
Bronco,
flares are insane on
they
the Raptor
they
R,
are
or not Raptor R, Bronco
huge.
Raptor. Yeah.
They're huge. Actually, you know what? You just said Raptor R. I want to talk a little bit about that. We know that there's a Ford F-150 Raptor R coming because they already said that that's going to be coming. And that one's supposed to have the GT500 engine. Do you think that the Bronco Raptor here, they made it as kind of like not a Wrangler 392 competitor, but they want to leave that on top. They want to, give a little bit of that Bronco Raptor R in the future to the 392 competitor.
Hmm. I don't know if they really left anything on the table with the Bronco Raptor. Like, as far as like an off-road dedicated vehicle goes, it's about as good as it gets.
But it doesn't have
Like,
707 horsepower.
it does not.
Oh, actually, even that's a
The
392.
392
It's
doesn't.
not a
They
it's
don't
not
have
a
a
Hellcat.
Hellcat.
I was thinking of aftermarket. But it's 400 horse compared to the 392. I think the 392 makes like 450, something like that. I can't remember.
The SRTs make like 370 or 470. I mean, uh, I don't think I don't. Yeah, 470 horsepower on the Wrangler 392s.
Mm.
I think real world numbers wise, we won't see any noticeable performance gap, and you don't want to be flooring your 392 on the highway anyways. Like, you will die. It will, like, that rollover wrist sticker that you get on, even like
Every SUV.
average SUVs will have that, but the Wrangler really take that seriously. Like, it's not a joke. Um, I've seen videos, like, especially lately, it's been snowing a little bit, and then Wranglers will like pass people and then merge back, and then just whoop whoop whoop, and then and then just fishtail and roll over. Uh, they're not great for high speed stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know who thought putting more power into it would solve anything, because it.
I don't think it was supposed to be solving anything. I think it was just Stellantis being Stellantis.
They don't. Their product planning is just like that. They're like, what? How can we make this product more appealing? Put a bigger
Put a
engine.
bigger engine.
Give it more power. Give it more power. When really that's not what it needs. The Wrangler does get a lot of things right, and in some ways it's better than a Bronco, but power is not the way to solve and how to win market share, I think. Oh, one thing I do want to mention with the Bronco Raptor, which was one of my biggest obstacles with the normal Bronco, was that it only towed 3,500 pounds, same as a Wrangler. But the Raptor model, because it's beefed up, um, they added a tow haul mode to the GOAT mode, and you get 4,500 pounds towing capacity. Still not a lot, but I'm just surprised to see that, because typically when you go off road, it's higher. It's going to be worse for towing. It probably has like softer suspension as well, and the bigger tires. All this shouldn't combine for better towing, because if you look at the normal F-150, the Raptor probably tows the worst out of the whole lineup for the F-150s. And so it's interesting to see it go the other way with the Bronco. Who knows? They could have probably made the regular Bronco tow more. But
they probably could have, but
they benchmarked the Wrangler, and then
they're like, it just has to hit that number. That's really what it comes down.
Honestly, if it could tow, I would have bought one. Like,
well,
that was the only thing it was missing.
But instead of buying this, you decided to put your money, maybe a little bit, you put your name down for this.
Yes. Just an hour before recording the show, I put my name down for this, which is Toyota's new story for this week.
The Toyota 2023 Sequoia. So last week there was a small teaser photo that we were like, oh, that looks kind of cool. But now we get.
And the best thing is, last week I roasted the Sequoia so hard, which is how it's literally the worst car in its class. It does everything poorly. It does everything worse than not only its competitors, but also within the Toyota brand. It's the worst product they make. And I put my money where my mouth is, which
Yeah.
is the new one kind of ticks everything else. Like it replaces when we never got the Land Cruiser, but everyone in the States is sad. Oh, Land Cruiser's gone. Everyone's sad, but it's like you didn't buy it, so that's why it's gone. But this kind of fills in that gap because I don't even know where to begin. There's so much to talk about on the Sequoia. Um, a lot of stuff that we know already from the Tundra, like the fully box frame. It shares that TNGA-F architecture that you're going to see on the Tundra, the Lexus LX, and the Land Cruiser, which is not in North America. But standard, unlike the Tundra, the standard with the iForce Max hybrid powertrain, which is no slouch, 3.4 liter V6 twin turbo, 437 horsepower, almost 600 pounds-feet of torque, 583. So a lot of power, a lot of torque, and very competitive powertrain. Say what you will about the old Sequoia and the old Tundra. When they came out in 07, 08 with that iForce, it was pretty impressive for its time. Very fast, fairly efficient, and obviously bulletproof reliable. And I think Toyota's done it again with this powertrain. Like at least numbers wise, we don't know how reliability is like, but they've been doing hybrids longer and more prolifically than any other manufacturer out there. Um, we don't know what the fuel economy is going to be like, but not that people really care when they're buying full size trucks, I guess.
They're carrying a little bit more than they were before, considering
Mhm.
how much gas is these days. But I actually want to add this onto the specs that you're talking about. 9,000 pound tow rating.
Yeah, 9,000 pounds, a respectable amount, and it's what you want out of a body on frame SUV. We were talking about it last week where the old Sequoia towed like 7,500 pounds, which is or less than that, 72, I think, 7,200 pounds, which is worse than a lot of its unibody competitors, which all drive better. And so they fixed that by giving it a proper frame, a proper drivetrain, and unlike its competitors, which have all switched to independent rear suspension, which makes a lot of sense, honestly. Independent rear suspension for the ride, the handling, the space, like the packaging.
The packaging overall,
It
yeah.
just everything makes sense with independent suspension for this type of vehicle. But Toyota's stuck with a solid rear axle for the Sequoia.
Yeah, I think they just ran out of money with it because they put a lot of money into the Tundra project, right? And then they just took the Tundra body kind of off, and then they're like, "Hey, shorten it a little bit and just put a cab over the rear, and then you have the Sequoia." And they didn't really change out the rear suspension.
Toyota does not run out of money. They're
They're
conservative with
thrifty.
money. They're thrifty. Russell Peters.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. They're they have a huge budget and they can do whatever they want really, but they're calculative. I think they know what they're going after. Like to me, I've been considering a full size SUV for a little bit because I wanted something that can still tow like a respectable amount and comfortably. And to me, the reason why I'm like, okay, this Sequoia might be the one to get is they they kept that solid axle. They're doing the TRD. It's a hybrid. In Canada, we're getting the TRD off-road as our base model. In the US, it's the SR5. I think that's so exciting for us because that off-road trim is kind of like it's everything I really want out of this
Yeah,
type of vehicle.
don't really need much more than that.
Yeah, that's the problem with some of the other competitors where like if I get an AT4 or a Z71, I'm looking at like well, we don't know what the pricing is, to be fair. I put my name down. I don't know what the pricing is. But if it's in line with the outgoing model, maybe a little bit 5% more than the old one, I'm still pretty excited about this vehicle. So the TRD off-road base model, which is, I think that's what I'm going to go for. As they said, you just need to line up the actual specs and like building it, choosing what trim to get. That's not going to be for a little while, anyways. But I'm first in line at our local dealership here. But the off-road trim is going to get 18-inch wheels, soft tech seats, which is all I really care about. I don't want cloth seats. Soft tech's easier to clean. That's all fine and dandy to me.
Soft text is essentially Toyota's way of saying fake leather. It's pleather.
Fake leather. Yeah.
It's pleather seats.
Leather seats.
A lot of their other vehicles use it. Like the top range Corolla has soft tech seats.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is that their old quote unquote leather seats felt exactly the same. Like
Yeah.
Toyota's leather seats in the past were really crappy.
Yeah, they're just the same.
They felt like pleather. So now that we're just owning soft techs, let's stick with that. But you're already getting a lot standard in this vehicle because it's not a cheap car. It's going to be over 70,000 for sure when it gets here. Heated seats, heated steering wheel, locking rear differential, multi-terrain select, crawl control, and the multi-terrain monitor. So you're getting the 360 cam as standard, and it's going to have Bilstein shocks, TRD springs, all in that base model. Like it's a lot of value for money. The pictures that we've seen so far, they've only showed us the TRD Pro, which obviously is very nice.
Well,
it's the nicest Sequoia I've ever seen.
There's 3 different trims that they're showing us. They're showing us the limited, which is the one up from the TRD off-road, and they're showing us the TRD Pro as well as the capsule, which is the top trim or top luxury trim.
Yeah, they brought the capstone back over from the Tundra lineup. I don't know why there's so many luxury models. Limited, platinum, capstone. It's confusing. I think limited. So everything platinum and up gets the 14-inch screen, which kind of feels like a must-have after seeing the Tundra with the smaller 8-inch screen. But yeah, the TRD Pro is kind of the one that people are excited about, all the enthusiasts, because everyone who never really considered a Sequoia before, including myself, the TRD Pro, even for the outgoing model, kind of changed things a little bit because it just looked so much more badass. But a TRD Pro for this upcoming Sequoia 2023 is going to get it's going to be second row, is going to get the captain's chairs. So it's going to be the 7-seater configuration rather than the 8, which I don't know if I care about that. I think so. One of the reasons I'm really attracted to this is my experience with the Rav4 Hybrid as far as camping in it. And I think going with the 8-seater configuration is going to give you that flat load floor, right? Or close to flat. So you're going to fold down your second row, third row is going to fold flat, and then there's this kind of awkward shelf thing that Toyota lets you use, whether you want your trunk floor in a higher position or lower position. So that's going to give you pretty much a flat platform to set up your sleeping setup on, and then it gives you a little storage compartment underneath, which is kind of nice because like that's like step 1 of like setting up your SUV for camping is build some kind of platform, which this is not like the strongest or coolest fanciest setup, but it's pretty crude, but it works. But the reason why I'm so excited about it is if it can do what my RAV4 can do, which is run the whole night, leaving the car on and use like $3 of gas, I am so sold on this thing. Like it's going to be more capable because it is related to that
frame,
to that 300 series Land Cruiser, right? Which is the most capable SUV you can get, I think. Well, three row SUV, the most capable 3-row SUV.
Land Rover guys are crying right now, but continue.
I don't know. They don't have the for one, they don't have the articulation. Like Land Rover, as much as the software
you
is
don't need
good,
articulation with all that gizmos and software.
it is pretty impressive. Like when you see a Defender hang like one wheel like 2 feet in the air and still just drive through something like it's nothing. It's pretty impressive, not gonna lie. But Sequoia, if it has a lot of that LC300 DNA and the Lexus LX DNA, this has a lot of potential off road. That's just in stock form. Um, I don't know. I'm really excited about this. I don't know what the fuel economy is going to be like, but
It
it's going to
should
be
be good.
decent.
It should
We
be
don't know.
around. We're estimating around 10 liters for 100 kilometers, and we're
That
basing
would
that
be sick.
off of the F-150 EcoBoost Power Boost, not EcoBoost, sorry, the Power Boost Hybrid, because that's a 3.5 liter hybrid technology, and it's rated for like just under 10. So it should
Yeah.
be around there. And like for an SUV of this size, 10 liters for 100 kilometers, it's a win for sure.
Yeah, because you know what? A Corolla gets that. Like if you look at your average Corolla, non-hybrid, obviously, they get like 9 to 10 liters per 100K realistically. And you're talking about something that weighs like 3 times more and is way bigger inside, getting very similar economy to a compact car. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
But that's how hybridization is so impressive with Toyota. Because we looked at the non-hybrid, the LX 600. So the LX, the numbers are already out for that thing. I've never actually seen the new LX,
I
but
don't think anyone has.
yeah, that's got the twin turbo V6, but the non-hybrid version, and that's rated at 13.8 liters per 100K, which is very reasonable again for a 6,000 pound 3-row luxury SUV. And this is only going to be better. So if it's under 13, I'm already happy with that. But if it can do like the Tundra target MPG for the iForce Max was 25, which is probably where this is going to be around too.
Yeah, should be around there.
25, so which is 9.4 liters per 100K. That is insane because like your typical, I don't know, let's say RAV4 gas, CRV, CX5, this type of crossover vehicle, that's what they're getting.
Yeah.
If not worse, realistically. You were talking about the F-150 hybrid and how impressive the real world fuel economy is on that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
Real
I
world,
drove
like real world economy versus like what's on paper. A lot of times it's very, very different. Most like manual cars, I've been able to like hit better numbers than what the numbers suggest. But like most vehicles, I will never touch the manufactured specs. The few ones are like hybrids, and especially that F-150. I was averaging under 10 liters, and I drove that all around town. Like nothing on the highway. I just drove that in the city just to maximize this potential. And I don't generally go through a full tank of gas in most of the vehicles I go through because I don't, need to go that far. But that one I did. That sucked though, because that was during the 30-liter max fill up.
Oh, jeez. You had to fill it 4 times.
I did have to fill up like 3 or 4 times. It was not a great experience, but it really changed my mind. Like a truck this large, this comfortable, can have an amazing engine like that. And I was thinking, what other vehicles does Ford make that has this engine that I can get? Nothing.
Yeah. Nothing
Like,
yet.
Nothing
right?
yet.
Like, they're not going to put all that money and not kind of trickle down that technology.
Yeah.
The
Explorer
great.
The Explorer has his own hybrid. It's not the same as the Power Boost. That's why I did kind of compare the two.
Yeah, I think body on frame SUV does have an advantage in that department, whereas like the packaging of where to shove batteries and motors is easier because you just build it higher up. Like it's simpler than on a unibody car where you kind of really have to like think and plan really far ahead as far as how we're going to electrify it. Um, but yeah, the MPG is going to be pretty impressive. And the cool thing is, it's got almost 600 pounds-feet of torque, right? Like it it can be fast if you don't mind using a lot of gas. Like I'm sure if you put it in power mode, this thing will rip,
I'm sure it
right?
will.
That's the other. And then the thing is, people look at it and they think, look at this asshole in his gas guzzling SUV. Meanwhile, like
You're just
it's
sipping.
getting better. It's getting better economy than your average any like I don't know Honda Odyssey, like
Oh,
pretty
for
much
sure.
your average family
Any
car.
3-row SUV, you'll be most like 2-row SUV. I think you'll be better than
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because like man, I drove that. I keep coming back to it and how miserable of a
The
time I had
Corolla.
with the Corolla because I had the Corolla twice as a courtesy car, and both times it got 9.5 liters per 100K.
It was
It's honestly not even rated for much better than that.
it was because you forgot how to turn off the handbrake.
It
It
turns
was
off automatically.
it was just activated. Like that's why.
Yeah. I don't like that car.
Well, speaking of rants, I think it's a perfect segue for your rant of the week.
Rant of the week. Rant of last week, really, which is
Continuation.
I don't know. You have any input on the rant of the week?
Well, I'll let you go for your rant first, and then I'll give you my input right
Okay.
after.
So our rant is related to, a lot of people just because of who we are and like, we're putting ourselves out there as car enthusiasts, as, you know, people of this community that people come to for advice from time to time. And it's really frustrating to me when a friend comes and asks me, "Hey, is this obvious scam, a good deal?" Like, and then you just look at you're like, this is disgusting. Like what some dealers are doing. So what we're talking about is just the insane list prices that dealers are putting, not only on new cars, but I think used cars especially. Yeah, actually more so on used cars. I think new cars are more regulated, but the used
Yeah,
car pricing has been insane.
at least here in
And
Canada, anyways. I know in the
everywhere.
states, I know in the states is worse for new cars, but here
Yeah.
in Canada for new cars is not as bad. Used cars are absolutely horrible.
Yeah, it's the fact that they're so it all stems from just the shortage, right? Like um dealers can't get cars fast in enough, and what they're doing is they're just marking up the used stuff. And so either you wait or you pay a marked up price for a lesser vehicle because there's nothing rarely is it ever the case that you're better off buying the older model year of that vehicle. I think 99.9% of the time, you're better off just buying brand new if it's the same price, apples to apples.
Yeah. So,
A lot of cars were bad before. Like I looked at the whole reason I even bought a Rav4 Hybrid was that I looked at used ones and I'm like, why the hell are they selling for 30K for a 5-year-old car when I can just walk in the dealer and buy a new one for 35 or whatever it is, with a full warranty. So keep in mind a few things when you're buying. This whole segment is not just a rant, but it's also to hopefully give people like buying advice and stuff that you can maybe pass on to your friends and family. Is when you're buying a new car, there's a few advantages. Obviously, it's new; it's never been farted in. Two, it's it's got a full warranty. Um, Full warranty meaning the mileage, the duration, the time, everything, bumper to bumper. So no matter what car, some cars are going to be less, some cars 3 years, some cars 4 years typically, um, 3 or 4 years, but you're getting that full balance of that warranty with the option to also buy an extended warranty. The other thing is you can lease it, finance it at better rates. Like they're not going to be amazing sometimes. Like they might be like 4.9 or or even higher in some cases. But the rates typically on a new car are going to be better than a used car. And even if it's a new car, let's say right now we're in January, so even if it's a new 2021 brand new car, never been registered, the 2022 will typically have a better rate because of just how lending works. So the rates for leasing, financing, residuals, all that is going to be better on a new car. So even if you have two cars priced exactly the same, let's say for comparison's sake, it's a 2020 brand new vehicle, 0 kilometers on it, versus a 2022 model brand new vehicle, 0 kilometers. You can lease and finance both of these cars in many cases, but you're probably going to get a better deal on the 2022 just because of how lending works. Now, the other thing is the depreciation, because if you like, a lot of people are in this weird mindset right now where because cars are at such an inflated price, they think this inflation is just like permanent. And the thing is,
It
if
really
you're
isn't.
buying if you're buying a 2019 car at 2022 new price, you're when you go to sell this car 4 years down the road, 5 years down the road, sell it, trade in, whatever you want to do, even if it's totaled, if it's written off, you're going to get less money for that 2019 than you will a 2022. Now, the reason I bring this up is I specifically had a friend, actually two friends, message me about two different RAV4 hybrids, knowing that I have a RAV4 hybrid. They're like, "Hey, should I get this?" And it's like, there's one at what, Westminster Toyota listing. It's a 2019 LE. Let's see if it's sold, because I wrote this down a few days ago. I don't know if it's sold. I kind of doubt it. Um, but it's an LE, which is the base model.
Base model.
It's the LE is nasty. Like I I wouldn't buy an LE because an XLE costs barely any more money, and you get so much more car for the money. I did consider buying the LE, but I'm just like, you know what? It's $2,000. I'm not going to cheap out on that because I'm gonna get it all back ultimately. But they were asking 42,000, I think, for this LE.
Well, while you look for that example, I already have one pulled up. So let me show you this one here. So this is what it cost: a 2022 Sienna Limited all-wheel drive 7-passenger, $59,000 plus taxes and all that good stuff. So 59 grand. Here's a 2021 sold at a dealership for 72,000. That, like, why is it $13,000 more for a vehicle that's used with 12,000 kilometers on it compared to a brand new vehicle? It just doesn't make sense.
And that car's been up there for a while. It's not new. And you know what? The whole time it's been sitting on that lot, that warranty is running out. Even though no one's driving it, that warranty, you lost a few months on that. And if you divide it, let's assign any random value to it, it's still a couple $100 for it to sit there and just rot away and lose warranty period on it. And it's a first model year car. It's not like something that you wouldn't want a warranty on anyways, or wouldn't care about. I don't care who you are, you care. Everyone wants a warranted vehicle.
There's a 2022 Santa Cruz Ultimate here. It's listed at $61,000 on a used vehicle. Brand new, it is. Oh, where did I have my pricing?
$61,000 for a Santa Cruz?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, we might as well call them out, which is Maple Ridge Chrysler. Holy crap! Who do they think they are?
It's 44,000 for a brand new one.
There is something fishy going on with this dealership because everything they list is so overpriced. Oh my god.
Well, let's take a look at the next one. They have a Lexus UX 250 for 52. This looks like UX 250 non F Sport. Doesn't have the top trim. Okay, let's take a look. UX 250. Lexus.ca.
So while you're pulling that up, I'll talk about one that I wrote down that I'm looking at right now, which is at Destination Honda. This car's been up for a little bit too. This is a 2021 RAV4 Hybrid XLE, exactly the same trim as mine. Listing for $56,995. $56,995. That's $20K over what I paid brand new, and this is a used car. It's a used car with 11,000 kilometers on it, and you know what's kind of unique about Destination is we're doing our best price first policy. No negotiations, no surprises, putting our best foot forward right from the start. Your best price is 20K over brand new. And you know what? This car, so what I end up doing for both of the friends that were interested in getting a used, quote unquote, used RAV4 hybrid for over new MSRP was they placed new orders, and you know what? It's a 3 to 4 month wait. And that's the thing is a RAV4 hybrid is not like okay, when someone pays a marked up price for a GT3 RS, I have no problem with that. You have money and you don't want to wait. I get it. But this is an A to B car. This is not a car that you pay 50% over MSRP to get. This is you can wait the 3 to 4 months. You can rent a car for 20K for more than 3 to 4 months. It's not that like dealers want you to think that the shortage is worse than it really is, but just please shop around, ask what the actual allocation times are, and start to look out of your region because here in Vancouver it's very the demand is over the supply, but allocation for dealerships is going to be different everywhere. So I know someone like the Sienna is one of those infamously marked up vehicles because they're so hard to get. And I know a friend that they totaled their previous generation Sienna. They have nothing to trade in, and how most dealerships are doing this right now, where if you have a trade in, you're going to be fast tracked to getting a new car because they want that used inventory to make some more money on. Because anyone would do this because you have one car coming in and another piece of inventory to sell, especially when you're in a shortage. You have no shortage of space on your lot. You have all the room in the world. You want to bring in as many cars as you can. You want to make money on those cars, and no one's saying you can't make money. Like make sell it for a fair price, whatever. But another friend of mine with his Sienna, he ended up going to one was in Prince George, and two he bought from Alberta. So bringing it from out of province because they had inventory there. And so it makes more sense than paying 20K over MSRP to just buy a plane ticket and drive it back. Like it's not you don't restrict yourself to shopping in 100-kilometer radius. Like that is you're not stuck with that. And
Yeah.
even if you buy your Sienna in Calgary, they're still going to warranty it here in Vancouver.
So that Lexus US looks like it's a base model because the luxury package will add a larger display, which that one doesn't have. So this one here its cash is 41,000 or 40,750. So let's call it 41,000. They're selling it for 52.
Yeah.
So $11,000 more on a used car with 7,000 kilometers on it.
Yep. 1 year less of warranty, and just it's got wear and tear on it. No matter how low that mileage number is, it's got some wear and tear on it. It's just a bad buy, and I feel like it's bad business. Like I don't want to be. I don't know how dealers are doing this and just like ripping people off. Ultimately, people are going to tell us, the car is worth whatever it sells for. And the thing is, I see these ads though. I see them not moving. Like, you know, on the record, we see this destination Honda Rav4 hybrid listed at 56,000. Let's see. We'll check back in a month and we'll see if it actually moves because there are no haggle. Like dealers have such a snobby attitude right now. Um, I had another friend go to this Honda dealership, wanting to buy an SI actually. And what happened was the dealership was like, the sales guy was like, well, if you want a penny over 20K for your trade-in, don't bother coming in. That was the attitude. And so he went over to a different Honda dealership and they gave him 21 for it. And he's like, oh, done, deal. And it's just like there is a shortage, but it doesn't give you an excuse to have poor customer service. You still have to be competitive, and we all have the same access. I can place an order with you, I can place an order with them. You still have to earn my business as a sales guy or dealership, however you want to look at it. And that's the thing, is don't just succumb to whatever this salesman is telling you, because car dealerships, it's the oldest trick in the book, right? Like there are some pretty slimy dealerships out there. Not saying there's not good honest salespeople that making an honest dollar, but there's a lot of scumminess that goes on in this industry. We try to regulate it, but some of this stuff, it's not illegal. It's not illegal to sell something for 20K over MSRP, but you should be educated on it. That's the thing, is that it's not like it's not like real estate where you have a realtor that can kind of guide you through it. You just walking into a showroom and you think that the salesman is going to give you good advice, as far as whether you should go for this, whether you should wait for something else, whether you should place an order for a new car. There's I wish that we could reach out to more people and help more people with this, but there is there is still margin in this industry. Like it's not like they're necessarily bleeding cash. They're just trying to maximize every opportunity. So because we only have X many cars coming in, we got to jack up the price on it. But don't encourage it. It's just do your due diligence. Like really, if you don't know, if it feels like a bad deal, ask a friend or something. Just anything.
I'm just trying to find this other one. There's a Subaru WRX. It says it's a limited, but there's no more limited on Subaru's website. So I'm just trying to see is like what
I think
it
it's
actually
Sport Tech.
Sport Tech,
It's
but
a
it
Sport
doesn't
Tech.
have the bigger wheels on it,
Yeah.
and it doesn't
The
have
most hilarious
eyesight.
one is the Model 3s are kind of going crazy too. So Model 3 Performance, that was one that really stuck out to me, because the Model 3 Performance is not a hard car to get. The Model 3 SR Pluses and the Model Y long ranges, those are hard to get. I get it, because they're very high demand and they can't keep up with production. So I think the Model Y long range, like if you want a white one, you're waiting like almost a year for that.
Oh, I saw one that it was ridiculous. I saw a Model Y standard range for 91,000 right here
Yeah.
at Eagle Ridge GM. $91,000 for a standard range Model Y. Standard range is the rear wheel drive one. That was the cheap one.
Oh, it's not even the.
No, it's
Oh
not the
no.
4-wheel drive.
Oh man. And no, and it's just like, okay, how dumb do you take people for? Because if I had $92,000, right? Why would I not walk into a Tesla dealership and just pick up a performance? Because the wait time on a performance is a lot less, because it's not the most popular model. The wait time on a performance right now is 2 months. What 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 person with $92,000 to spend on a car would not rather take the car that's twice as fast, is a year newer,
with longer
uh,
range,
with a way longer range, and you're
full
going through
warranty.
your full warranty, and you're getting through a Tesla dealership, not some crappy rip-off artist Chrysler dealership or whoever Audi dealership,
It was
Land Rover dealership,
it was a GM dealership.
GM dealership, whoever it is, they're not Tesla. Like if you could buy that car through that brand, buy it through that brand. And the Model Y performance is 85,290 before destination, all that. And it's a 2 month wait. Just please do your research, people. Don't get taken advantage of. Like, this is what I mean is that it's okay. It's not that like you can't it's not that prices are not inflated right now. I recognize that prices are inflated. Prices are going to be a little bit higher now than they were a few months ago or a year ago. But do not pay just like to instantly have just an inferior car when you could just wait a month or two to get a way better car for less money.
Mhm.
For $6,000 less before tax, you could get a performance for the price of what they're asking for standard range. And you know what? I bet if you go into this dealership, they're like, there's no discounts. Like that's how much cars are. There's such a shortage. You can't get a long range Model Y. I know it's more expensive to get it through us, but like
Performance is 85 grand.
yeah,
Why would you not pay 85 for performance versus 92 on a used
yeah,
standard range rear-wheel drive model?
yeah. I would get it if it's like a GT3, right? Where the wait is 2 years long, and if you don't have a good trade in, you're not even considered for that buy in. So you do have to pay that markup. But it's a Model Y, it's a mass produced vehicle. You can go into any showroom and just order one, have it however you want it. And they actually have cars ready to go, Tesla. They actually have inventory of performance models at the 85K price. So I don't know. I think the dealership is going to try to convince you that that is not the case, that you cannot get your hands on a performance or a better Model Y or any Model Y, but that's not the truth.
Mhm.
It's just please don't get taken advantage of. I just like it's so frustrating. Like it just gives that whole industry a bad rap. Tesla's been really good at this too. So Tesla, unlike every manufacturer is kind of doing this to an extent, which is controlling the price gouging. Every manufacturer wants to make sure that ultimately every customer has a good experience. They don't want customers to feel ripped off buying their products. But dealerships do not work for the brand necessarily. They're a franchise. They're trying to make their own money, and it's just it's just how people naturally will behave. But yeah, like Tesla's been really good because Tesla controls their everything from the sales, the manufacturing, the servicing, everything is through them. And I think they're a really good example of what to do in this kind of market. And they're really good with stuff like so people who did order SR pluses prior to the price increase, Model 3s. So Model 3 went up like what 5 or 10%. It went up quite a significant amount, and there's no more rebate on the new ones. So
Mhm.
if you got your order in for the old price, you're doing really well, which is great. Like if you want to drive that car, all the power to you. It's a good value, but Tesla's done something which you don't really see too often in the car industry, which is they actually people think they're smart, right? They think people think they're business geniuses, and they listed their Model 3 SR Plus, and hey, I haven't taken delivery yet, but take mine for 70K, or it's a better deal. You don't have to wait a year like if you were to place an order now. Um, and they'll try to make $10,000 off of you, whatever it is. And Tesla will catch these people trying to flip their cars before taking delivery, or even after, because you're not allowed to sell a car for more than you paid for it through Tesla. And what they'll do is restrict your premium access, the connectivity stuff, and yeah, they'll blacklist you. They'll cancel your order. If you try to flip your car before taking delivery, they'll just cancel your order. You know what? We're gonna give it to someone who is not trying to rip off people, and I love that. I love so much about the Tesla model. Like as much as I tease like like Tesla owners and the quality of the cars and everything, like there's a lot to like about them, and I think they're doing so much right. I think the rest of the industry has so much to learn from them, and there's a reason why they are the highest valued car company out there. They don't make the best cars, they don't sell the most cars, but there's a reason why. The whole It's more than just sales. It's the whole experience, and I commend them for that. Yeah.
And that concludes the rant of the week. I mean,
Rant of the week.
honestly, some super valid points. Don't get ripped off. Right now, everyone's getting ripped off if you're buying a used car because it's just how the world works. One of my friends, he's currently leasing a Crosstrek. It ends in 2024, December of 2024. He was able to give that Crosstrek as a trade-in at a Mazda dealership and get a brand new CX-5 for like $150 bi-weekly.
Mm.
That, like the Crosstrek trade-in, it basically knocked down his price about 10 grand. It's I mean, yes, dealers do take in trade-ins for lease returns, and they do generally take it in a little bit early. Generally, it's always been like 3-4 months. This is December 2024. I was shocked to hear that they were taking a December 2024 car.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
Subaru used price has always been really strong, so I see that. Same with the Rav4,
his
and
residual on it is 21K. Right now,
yeah,
people are selling between 30 to 40.
yeah, so it makes sense. That's why people are doing it, and
Yeah.
I think the problem is dealerships like Maple Ridge Chrysler, and they they're paying high for these cars. Like it's very tempting, like to
Well,
get into a new
actually, I
car.
have a friend that works at a dealership, and I asked him, like, are you guys paying that much for your cars? And he straight up said, no, not all the time. There was a
Yeah.
Tacoma he had to pay MSRP for as a trade-in,
Hmm.
but like there was a Tesla on the lot. And I was like, no, we got it for 50 something, and they're selling it for 55. Like the markup isn't huge, but
Yeah.
that dealership, that was Mori Nissan actually. They're not selling the car at $80,000. Like
Yeah.
they're actually selling it at a correct price point. So props to
Yeah. And
Mori.
here's one of the things that like I don't understand with dealerships is that they will tell you, "Hey, I bought this for this price." Like when I was shopping for my F-150 a few years ago, the guy was like, I'm like, "Okay, well, I see your car here. I see that car over at this other dealership. Same color, but that car's a better spec," which I end up buying. And the guy's like, "Well, I can't do that price because we paid this much for it," which is probably not even true. But like you telling me that you overpaid for this car does not make me any less like not want to buy that other car. Because like ultimately if that car's a better deal, I'm gonna take that other car. If it's lower mileage or better spec for the same price, guess what? I'm just gonna buy that other car. And that's the thing, is you have to make sales guys and dealerships work for your sale. Don't let them don't let them drill this into your head that there's nothing else out there. If you don't buy my car, you have no car. Like there's so many alternatives out
There's
there.
options.
There's options. Just please shop around. Don't take the first deal you see. Uh, I just please, if you just message us, you know where to find us. If you're not sure about something, just message us. We'll put you in touch with honest people that aren't gonna rip you off. Um, And yeah, I think even in this very how you call it, not surplus, shortage, even in the shortage where prices are going to be higher, there is still room for negotiation, and there is room for a better deal. Just do not pay 50% more for a car that is gonna still depreciate. Like, okay, there's some things like buying a Rolex, buying a house, buying a GT3 RS. Like, some things are kind of a sure investment, but typically like a Model 3 long range is not. Like, even a RAV4 hybrid is not an investment. It's gonna lose you money, and don't look at your car as an investment. At least for 90% of cars out there.
Really not designed for it. In any case, that's really it for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Like Justin said, if you need a good dealership, let us know. Shoot us a message, Instagram, and we can definitely get you in touch with the right people. In any case, thank you so much. We'll catch you next time.